This morning on Lovo Plus.
Welcome to the country of Uganda in Eastern Africa. Like many parts of Africa, Uganda is a land of striking contrasts. But not everything here is this black and white. We have Lake Victoria, the second largest freshwater lake in the world and the principal source of the River Nile. Our vibrant culture validates some of the stereotypes about Africa while shattering others. Our capital city, Kampala, is home to more than 2 million people and is nestled between 7 original hills. Kampala is a bustling metropolis and has been ranked as the best city to live in East Africa. It has universities, sports teams, nightlife, shopping, and many things that most of the world has never seen or tasted before. Meet Gertrude Njuba, co-founder of Blockchain Africa, a fintech company focused on developing blockchain use cases and real-world solutions for the public and private sector. She is also senior presidential advisor and a government official working on land registration issues.
We depend on land a lot. People work on land, they spend all their lives on land. It's not like in the first world where people live in the cyber world. We live on land. So people come in my office like patients go to hospitals. Nobody comes with a happy face. So either side is saying this is the right title, this is the right title. And you don't know how it came about. Usually it's because somebody in the registry made a mistake. January this year, I attended a summit in Hong Kong which talked about blockchain. As explanations went on, I saw that Uganda needed blockchain technology for many things, but most of all for the land registry.
Meet Professor Eriabo Lugujo, the Vice Chancellor of Ndeje University, the top private school in the country. His university is home to more than 8,000 students. And he has many ideas on how blockchain can improve their academic record keeping.
The private university depends on tuition, mostly on tuition. Some students come here and they say we have paid in the banks, and yet they haven't paid. Or they bring in forged receipts. Therefore, if blockchain comes in and says that it can increase the efficiency in collection of fees, that will be the lifeblood of the university. So when we give an individual a certification, the certification must reflect his capability. The employers are worried that the students also tend to falsify data. But blockchain, I think, is going to be a big intermediary between universities, between academics, and the private sector.
Let's listen to Joseph Semoemba, Chief Executive Officer of Kia Motors in Uganda. He knows how blockchain can improve supply chain and inventory management.
It would be really of good importance, more especially in the area of the reconditioned vehicles that come from all parts of the world, where incidentally the emission standards are that high, and whatever falls below bar is what's sent down here. So we might need to be able to trace backwards and say, look, what is the status of this car? So we get those challenges when these cars are just dumped in our market. People will be quick to buy because it's a cheap car, looking at the disposable income. But in the long run, they are such a health hazard to the people and the environment. Blockchain technology is the smartest thing to go for right now, and it's the best that can happen to the world.
Let's move on to Lillian Navulime, world-renowned sculptor and senior lecturer at Makerere University. Blockchain can protect her intellectual property rights.
My husband lived with HIV/AIDS, and I didn't know how to handle. No one was there for us. So when I got an opportunity to go to the UK to study a PhD, that's when I found out that women were much affected with HIV/AIDS. Those living with HIV/AIDS and those affected, like me, I don't have HIV/AIDS, but I was affected because my husband was living with HIV/AIDS. And then that was the turning point to decide to develop sculptures that can communicate HIV/AIDS. I've done several artworks, but finding market for these sculptures is the most difficult thing. Blockchain can take a record of the artworks of the Ugandans, and then that means they are registered internationally. Then blockchain can expose them, but at the same time, they are protected.
Finally, let's meet some members of the Blockchain Africa team. They are all members of Net Leaders and are implementing these and many other solutions on the DasCoin blockchain. Think of record keeping, smart contracts, remittance, financial institutions, value chain promotion, and much more.
We wake up every day and go and tell people about blockchain technology. We are talking to governments, we are talking to the private sector, basically trying to educate people about the blockchain technology and asking them to adopt it and actually integrate it into the systems that they are having right now. We expect that this technology is going to add value to everything that is coming out of Uganda. Honestly, with blockchain, I think the sky is the limit for Uganda.
There is a lot we can do with the DasCoin blockchain all over Africa. If we can implement these solutions in Uganda, then we can implement them all over the continent and throughout the world. Unlocking Africa, one block at a time. Blockchain Africa, working in association with Net Leaders and DasCoin.
All right, thank you for joining us again. That particular feature immediately gives you an idea of what we are going to be talking about now. Blockchain, probably have heard that term. Cryptocurrency, there's the Bitcoin, digital assets. Now, all these are terms which probably you might have heard before. Perhaps you're even involved in it. How well do you really know about it? What information do you have? And we are told that this is the future. We are told that this is what will change the way that we conduct business and, you know, the way we live our lives in the future. So we have to get more information. For the layperson, perhaps, or someone who is not technically inclined, is this something worth their time to get to know more about it? Is it something they should get some education in? Now, these are some thoughts that we are going to be exploring in today's discussion. And I am pleased to inform you that we have the experts here who will do just that. So joining me on set this morning, I have Pinaki Naik, who is a global leader in DasCoin, and with him is Fraser Douther, also a global leader at DasCoin. Both are here to give us some education and to throw more light on these. Thank you very much for coming, and good morning to you. Good morning to you. Okay. First of all, welcome to Nigeria. I understand this is your first time here. How was your trip, and how has it been so far?
It's been very good so far.
Yeah, very friendly. It's been a wonderful experience so far. So yeah, we're looking forward to the next 9-10 days. Yeah.
Okay, amazing, amazing. So that's a good endorsement. Okay, so we are talking about blockchain technology, you know, and the digital assets, the cryptocurrency, and all of these. A lot of people have heard about these terms. Many more people don't quite have an understanding what this is about, and then they're wondering, okay, it's probably for some you know, the computer gurus or the internet gurus. It's for them. And, you know, they're wondering, is this worth my time? Is it something I should know about? Perhaps we should start with some sort of background, you know, to the Bitcoin, how it came about, to help us understand better where this is going. Let me start with you.
Sure. Bitcoin evolved back in 2008, and it was frowned upon in the early days. A lot of people didn't really understand the concept. Digital currencies were never heard of before. Yeah. And so when Bitcoin evolved, it really took around 2 to 3 years for people to start taking an interest. And the value of Bitcoin in the beginning was zero. Around 2011, that moved to around 31 cents a coin. So that first 2-3 years was a foundation. It was an evolution of the concept of digital currencies. Really interesting and true story. A guy actually bought some Bitcoin, I think $27 worth of Bitcoin in 2010, 2011. And clearly, more people got involved, more businesses started to invest money. From around 2011, the price of the coin increased from 31 cents, and then eventually in 2012, it went to around $1,200. And the guy actually sold that $27 initial buy for $880,000. So you see, he was a very happy man. He'd actually forgotten about the Bitcoin.
Yeah.
So over a period of time, and certainly within the last 2-3 years, Bitcoin has evolved, more companies have got involved, and nowadays Bitcoin is used predominantly for online payments. Okay. Instead of using your credit card or your bank wires or other processes, Bitcoin now is a real good medium to buy products and services. So that's kind of how it evolved, really.
Okay. Was there any issue with regulations at the time? Because I'm thinking that perhaps the government of the day would be thinking, okay, what is this? Are we going to be able to monitor it? You know, if it's another currency that is not our currency and all of that. Were there any issues with that?
I think the original idea was that the current financial system after the financial crisis was not working. There must be a way to find an easier solution to all the problems we were having. So I think the idea behind Bitcoin was the blockchain itself. And the idea was basically to find a better system. And it was a concept initially. It was an idea. Okay. But from then, it sort of moved. People started getting into it, understanding it. And then the very first transaction was somebody who basically said, if I send you 10,000 Bitcoins, will you send me a pizza? And that was the very first transaction. Okay. Nowadays, that's probably the most expensive pizza in history.
It was expensive.
But the idea is that it took off from there. So I don't think anybody really realized that this would become such a huge global thing. But it's now evolved, and it's now people are realizing the true value of it. Okay. And that's where it's developed.
Okay, so from then on, it has evolved, and now we're hearing about DasCoin. Are they one and the same thing? Is there a difference? Give us an idea.
Just to go one step back. Okay. With Bitcoin, Bitcoin is unregulated. The blockchain that Bitcoin uses is a decentralized blockchain, and so anybody can use that blockchain without any authentication or previously approved details. So one of the challenges and one of the flaws, if you like, with Bitcoin is that it is unregulated, and that governments and authorities don't particularly like Bitcoin because it allows people to have autonomy and to be able to move large sums of money around the world. And they don't know why or the reason or who is moving that money around the world. It could be for a number of things. So that is the big concern with Bitcoin. Moving on to DasCoin, DasCoin have taken all the good elements of the digital asset with with Bitcoin, and they've improved and bridged a lot of the gaps that are missing in Bitcoin. For instance, we go back to the regulation.
Yeah.
With DasCoin, it will be a regulated blockchain. And so that every single user on that blockchain will need to be approved with full banking standard KYC, so identification, residential status. And that allows us then, or allows DasCoin then to be able to say, well, every single user on that blockchain is authenticated and we know who they are. Okay. So that's the two big differences.
Okay. You know, I'm hearing you use the blockchain, you know, the blockchain technology, and I think we should really get to it so that we understand what it is. What is it really? And I believe, and I do know that that's part of the reason why you're in Nigeria, you know, to educate people as to what it is and why we should be educated in it, or why we should have knowledge, since you say that this is the way forward, you know, this is the future for business. So why do I have to know about it, or what benefit, what do I stand to gain from getting an education in this? So let's talk about blockchain technology. What is it, and yeah, what's the future?
Blockchain technology, I suppose the simplest way, if we break it down and try and simplify it as much as possible. If you think of, say, a village of 100 people, each one has got a shopping list. All the items on the list are all identical. So there has to be a vote of 50, and 51% have to agree that this is correct. If you then take one person out and change the shopping list, the other 99 will still vote, but that one person will be rejected out of the system because that list does not match with the rest. So when we transact in everyday life, I would send you some money, but the bank is the verifier. So in the blockchain, this 51% voting is basically verifying it not once, but 6 times. So it has to be verified multiple times, which means we now have a situation where, in effect, the banks are not required. So the blockchain is almost like a voting system.
Okay. Is it happening outside? It's still an internet-based transaction, but it's sort of autonomous, if I'm to understand it. It's not like your internet.
Yes.
Okay.
But that's where DasCoin come in. That's the evolution of what DasCoin and net leaders are bringing to the table. Is they want to create the legitimacy and the transparency of users and those transactions on a centralized blockchain.
Okay. All right, the morning show. If you're just joining, we are talking about cryptocurrency, digital assets, all of that. And we're looking at how this is the future and the way forward with it. Do you have some knowledge about this? Do you wish to have more knowledge about this or be educated in it? Then you are in the right place, because I've got experts on set with me to talk about this. Okay, so why is the education of the blockchain technology so important? Are we looking at, we're looking at the future now and how perhaps business and all of these things are going to change. What's the benefit really? Because, you know, that's always the issue. I am trying to decide if it's really worth my time and the effort to really learn and get educated in this. Is it something that is going to benefit me as an ordinary person, in quote? You know, I go about my daily business and so on and so forth.
So if you look at, you know, from a business perspective, we talk about the banks and how historically banks have done business in a traditional way.
Yes.
Starting with cash. Now we have the electronic cards, and now we have internet bank transfer, etc. What the blockchain technology does is that changes the whole concept of the banking industry. And the banking industry has now decided worldwide to start and look and embrace the technology of the blockchain. Previously, because it was unregulated, and no authenticated users, they can't do that. This is where DasCoin comes in, because they are now going to go down the regulated route.
Okay.
And that allows the banks and the authorities to know the users and the transactions. So if you think of a bank going onto a blockchain and having customers but not knowing who their customers were, that would be the Bitcoin. But with DasCoin, the bank, just like they do now, they know their customers, they know how they're moving and where they're moving money for anti-money laundering issues and authenticated issues. So I think Pinnacle, I'll just go a little bit further about how businesses can use the blockchain from freight, from moving product from one side of the world to the other, and all the challenges that you have with currencies in different countries. I mean, you talk about Africa, and the video there explains it in great detail, how a product can move from, say, Tanzania to the Congo, to go out the other side, to go on another ship, to go into Europe. It can't happen that way at the moment, and that's what the video is all about. So Pinnacle will talk a little bit about that.
That is one of the issues. Let's talk about that freight line across Africa. So if you look at it one way at the moment, we have this issue where China manufactures the bulk of the goods for the world. They have to ship and ship around Africa, which is very costly.
Yes.
So it makes sense to have a train line going right across Africa, which can be done. The only issue is that each country needs to transact with each other.
Yes.
Now, the downside is that currency transactions are very expensive. That's millions of dollars spent in converting currency from one to the other. And this is where DasCoin comes in. DasCoin, as a conversion instrument, reduces those charges drastically. And that affects, it helps the wealth of those countries. And that's, it's a powerful thing. So, in effect, if you take DasCoin, what they've done is they've taken Bitcoin, they've taken all the different currencies that are out there, looked at them and said, right, okay, this works, this doesn't, this works, this doesn't. And they've come up with what they call a currency of trust.
Okay.
And what I call the people's money.
That's the DasCoin.
That's the DasCoin. Okay. It's the people control it. The people are the ones who use it. And it's not controlled by any government.
Okay. But it's still going down the government regulation.
Yes.
Okay. I think we do have a clip that talks about it a bit and gives us some introduction as well. So let's take a look at that particular clip. We will be right back with more on this interesting topic. So stay with us.
In a world of financial enslavement and the ever-present fallibility of corporate banks and governments, DasCoin marks a new era in mainstream currency, aimed at empowering people all over the world. A global currency that puts you in complete control and frees you to acquire and exchange value on your terms. Built on a bedrock of trust, DasCoin promises a future where people everywhere, from you and I to underprivileged communities throughout the world, will unlock new levels of prosperity. Imagine a world where we are truly liberated, completely autonomous, and fully empowered, where your money is constantly accessible, effortlessly exchanged, and universally accepted, giving you complete control, total freedom, and absolute peace of mind. The emergence of a mainstream digital currency is inevitable. The only questions that remain are, how and when will this happen? Right now, we are laying the foundations for a new kind of currency, a currency of trust, where the right to trade and the right to be trusted will be as universally available as the air that we breathe. It's our collective assertion of these rights that will enable us all to flourish. By adapting trust to the digital paradigm, we can free ourselves from the burdens and abuses of unsound money systems. To embrace DasCoin is to take a stake in a movement that will spread prosperity throughout the world. Join us in creating a brighter financial reality for everyone.
Okay, some introduction about the DasCoin and how this is going to change the way that we will be conducting business in the future. And again, in case you're just joining, I have with me on set Pinaki Naik and Fraser Douther, both global leaders in DasCoin, or with the DasCoin, and they're here to give us information and education about what that really is, the blockchain technology and all of that, and why we have to get some education in all of that. Okay, so earlier we were talking, you know, you explained to us really what blockchain technology is and how one of the ways in which it's going to be used in conducting business and transactions and all of that. And then I asked you, you know, off the camera, I did ask you about minting, which, by the way, is a term that people hear. So, you know, you say, okay, they're minting currencies and all of that. So explain to us really in as regards the DasCoin. You know, what does it mean? What's that process all about?
Okay, minting is, there's two ways. What this technology comes from is we're talking about currency or a digital asset at the end of the day. So if you sort of go backwards in time, the original way of getting value was gold. So you would mine for gold, which is hard work. It's a lot of labor for a very small amount of gold. It could take you years to find some. The minting process is quite simple. You know, the person already has that value, and he just creates the currency itself. So the way DasCoin have taken that concept and brought it forward is, if you look at the mining process in Bitcoin terms, it's not very green. Basically, you need banks of computers, you need huge rooms, and they need to be working 24 hours a day, which really doesn't make sense. A lot of machines working a lot of hours just to create currency. Whereas what we've done is, in our network, you purchase a license, which gives you the capacity in our DasNet network. So now you've purchased a capacity. You can then submit that capacity and say, can you please turn these into coins? That's where the minting, and that's where the value is brought from it. Okay. So you can see that it's a different process, and we don't need loads and loads of machines to do it.
Okay. Okay, it's an interesting concept, and yeah, more and more people are getting interested in it. But like I said, it's important that we are educated in it and we get that information in it, and that's where you come in. So like I said in the beginning, I understand that you're on a business tour. So can you briefly tell us about that? What's the plan really? Which countries or which states rather within the country are you planning to visit?
We start our tour tomorrow.
Okay.
We're here with meetings with some of the guys who are already in business partners with us today. But tomorrow, effectively, I think 11 o'clock, we start in Victoria Island. The guys will tell you exactly where that is. Okay. We have 2 presentations on Saturday, and then we have 2 presentations in the West Town Hotel here in Lagos. Okay. On Monday, we move to a different state. We go up to Enugu. Okay. And we're doing a business presentation in Enugu. And then we move on Tuesday to Abuja. And we've got 2 days in Abuja with business presentations. And then we move from Abuja to Port Harcourt.
Okay.
And we're doing 2 business presentations on Friday and Saturday before we come back to Lagos, and then we go home.
Okay, that really is a tour.
Oh yeah.
It really is a tour. Okay, so lastly, really, what do you want to say? Is there anything specifically you want the viewer to know as regards this? Because in the end, it is about how valuable the layperson in this instance considers this information to be, that they would want to go and get an education in it. You know, so how important is this for them to want to be educated in it? Well, to tell them.
You know, DasCoin is creating a currency of trust, but also what digital assets or digital currencies are doing is they're creating the future of a new money, a virtual currency. And we've talked about the blockchain technology, but I think it's interesting also to explain the other bridges that DasCoin have put in place that's going to come later during 2017, 2018, that will allow the everyday person like you and I to transact with businesses round the corner. Here's the problem with Bitcoin. Bitcoin evolved in 2008. Bitcoin can only be used online with the exception of about 150,000 retail outlets offline. So, for instance, if you had Bitcoin on your computer now and you wanted to go around the corner to pay for some groceries or to a restaurant, to buy some fuel for your car, the chances are that you're not going to be able to use it.
Yeah.
So, for the everyday person, it's useless unless you work online. What DasCoin have done is that they have created a payment solution, a mobile payment solution, by where we get one of these apps. And we've worked with a company who developed a smartphone app for other large organizations that created, and one is Apple Pay.
Okay.
Apple Pay, you have a smart app. You link this app to your credit card and to your bank accounts, and then you can use Apple Pay at the gas station, scan the code. That tells, do you want it from credit card 1 or bank account number 2? Put your PIN in, it's gone. Okay, very secure, and it's been used for the last 12 months. But that is fiat money, so that's normal currency moved through a smart app. What DasCoin have done is that they created and gone one step further and bridged that gap that Bitcoin doesn't have. So they've created a mobile payment solution that's called DasPay. And that will have anybody that has a license or an account with DasCoin and has value in that account will be able to link their DasCoin account to their smart app. Okay. It's never been done before. No other digital currency has created that bridge of being able to spend your currency in the open market, not the online market. So what will happen is, when this technology goes live, and that's probably going to be in the first quarter 2018, you'll have DasCoin on your smart app. That will be linked to the app. You'll go to your store, dink. The transaction is complete, but it will go from DasCoin into Naira, dollar, yen, euro, whichever currency that you are. Here's the true value. Remember I said about Bitcoin had 150,000 off-site retailers.
Stores, yes.
With DasCoin, it will have 60 million retail outlets worldwide. Anywhere that you can use Visa or cryptocurrency, you will be able to use our smartphone technology and transact from DasCoin into a product service that you want. So that's a real key feature for the everyday person. And that is one reason why an individual should want to get involved with DasCoin and NetLeaders.
Okay. Well, I think you've heard it, and you still want to add something to that.
Yeah,
otherwise,
I'll add my little bit to it. I think going from what Fraser basically said is there's a huge bank of the world population that is unbanked. They don't have bank accounts, but they all have a phone. So this is where DasCoin can make a huge difference. The unbanked majority of the world can now transact. And here's the sort of like scenario going forward. If you had a country that purely worked in digital currency, there would be no black market. There would be no money laundering. There would, a lot of this bad industry that comes from fiat money would disappear. How would that transform people's lives? And it's, like I said, it becomes the people's money. The people control it. It's not controlled by governments. When governments do something, price of currency fluctuates. This is, like I said, it's, that's why it's called the currency of trust. And it has a huge bank of regulation behind it. We also have a white paper, which was published, which has a lot of information that tells you all the background behind it and how it moves forward.
And Nigeria is ready for that technology, Maya.
Nigeria is ready for that.
We are speaking to commissioners, to governments, to banks, and these guys so much want this technology. They are so excited about what we can deliver that other cryptocurrencies haven't been able to.
Do. Okay, so that's the way to go, really. That's the future. And you should get information as much as you can, because in the end, it's going to affect your quality of life and the way that you do things, the way that you transact business every day. So go for it, go for that information. Okay, so I had a very, very interesting time this morning with Pinaki Naik, global leader, DasCoin, and with him has been Fraser Dowther, also global leader, DasCoin. And both of them are here on a business tour for about 10 days or so. Yes, yeah. All right. So thank you very much for coming. We wish you all the best in your tour. And, you know, wherever you go, you know, you learn something as well, and have people be friendly, like you know, you said that in the beginning, which is really, we are friendly people, so yes. But thank you for coming, and if you're interested, of course, there will be some more information, perhaps numbers and some other information where you can call or make inquiries as to how you can be involved or how you can even attend these seminars. Okay, so the morning show continues. It's a Friday, and what is a Friday edition without some music, right? So here is some music interlude, and coming up next, we have the sports roundup, and we will have Emenike Ago and his team talk to you about sports matters. You will love this, so don't go away.
In a world of financial enslavement and the ever-present fallibility of corporate banks and governments, DasCoin marks a new era in mainstream currency, aimed at empowering people all over the world. A global currency that puts you in complete control and frees you to acquire and exchange value on your terms. Built on a bedrock of trust, DasCoin promises a future where people everywhere, from you and I to underprivileged communities throughout the world, will unlock new levels of prosperity. Imagine a world where we are truly liberated, completely autonomous, and fully empowered, where your money is constantly accessible, effortlessly exchanged, and universally accepted, giving you complete control, total freedom, and absolute peace of mind. The emergence of a mainstream digital currency is inevitable. The only questions that remain are, how and when will this happen? Right now, we are laying the foundations for a new kind of currency, a currency of trust, where the right to trade and the right to be trusted will be as universally available as the air that we breathe. It's our collective assertion of these rights that will enable us all to flourish. By adapting trust to the digital paradigm, we can free ourselves from the burdens and abuses of unsound money systems. To embrace DasCoin is to take a stake in a movement that will spread prosperity throughout the world. Join us in creating a brighter financial reality for everyone.
Level Plus app is bigger and better. Watch all our shows with just a click.
Let him have the right to decide what happens with your body.
Watch inspiring, informative, and entertaining programs. You can comment, like, and share. Watch our live TV and web TV on your mobile devices. Watch the big stories in real time or when you have the time. Experience Level Plus app right now. Download Level Plus app on Android, iOS, and BlackBerry. Go to Google Play Store, Apple App Store, or Windows Phone Store. Welcome to the bigger picture. Love Will Plus, beyond television.